Hello, everyone, and good morning. We want to thank you all for taking time out of your schedule to attend this morning's coffee break, where we will be talking about learning why building energy performance standards mattered, aka BEPS to some people who have maybe heard of it before. Myself and John Becker will be presenting on this topic, and we will go ahead and get started with the rest of the presentation. So as Halloween is approaching this upcoming weekend, if you will be out or if you live in an area that may potentially have a lot of children, just some things to be mindful of this weekend, as most folks will probably be celebrating Halloween this weekend as it falls during a weekday early next week. Stay in groups. Make sure that the costumes are fitting and are flame resistant. Always test the makeup. Some folks may have sensitive skin or other issues like that. Remember to look both ways when crossing the street. Examine all treats before children decide to dig in and eat them, or some may be a little quick and want to start eating them on the way. Make sure you stay on sidewalks when possible. Avoid dark houses. Most times, rule of thumb is if their front porch light is on, then they probably aren't giving out candy. Flashlights and glow sticks for visibility, as we're approaching, now that we're in fall, I'm sure most of you have noticed it gets pretty dark around 7 o'clock. It's pretty dark outside. And most things just enjoy with caution. And if you are driving, just be aware and cautious of little people and children who may be darting out in the road. So those are just some safety tips as Halloween approaches. Today, the agenda is we will go over Empower Maryland. Then we will dive into the meat of the presentation about learning why BEPS, while building energy performance standards matter, and then we will go into the Q&A. Just some other housekeeping things to keep in mind for this presentation. If you have any questions or comments, please enter those into the chat function of the presentation. And then if you want to take notes, please feel free to do so, but we will be sending out the presentation and the recording shortly after this presentation is over. If we potentially share some information that you weren't able to catch, we will be sending out a recording of the presentation and the actual PDF of these slides once the presentation is over. And now I will turn it over to John Becker.
All right, thank you, Miguel. Appreciate that. And yep, definitely keep an eye out as we're out trick-or-treating and enjoying this time of year. Fall's a wonderful time. Gets dark early. All right, Empower Maryland. So Empower Maryland, it's basically the state's energy efficiency program. What it does is it requires utilities to achieve energy savings through reductions equivalent to 2% of sales per year for the 2020 to 2030 program cycle. And that's based on 2016 gross retail sales. And of course, electricity losses. So the Empower Maryland Energy Efficiency Act of 2008, what they have done is they've created a portfolio of energy efficiency programs across the state for all the utilities within Maryland. And what this is, it's paying individuals cash incentives, encouraging people to do something more efficient instead of just the norms or industry standards. So just a little timeline, as you can see on the screen here, when it was first enacted and put into law, the programs have gone through. They did achieve those savings in 2015. And again, the Empower Maryland Acts were extended in 2017 and they continue on. And again, that new structure or that new goal is 2% of the gross energy sales from 2016. And that goes from 2020 through 2030. So our new program cycle kicks off in 2024 and definitely looking forward to that. All right, thank you. So if we can get into the next slide, please. So let's talk about what is energy benchmarking. So basically, energy benchmarking is where you're taking all of your data, your energy data from your buildings, and you're comparing it to itself, or you're comparing it to other buildings, like buildings. I'm sure everyone here there's different ways to do it, but I'm sure everyone here is the industry recognized standard is Department of Energy's Energy Star Portfolio Manager, where you're able to enter in all of your energy data for that building type and compare it to like buildings. And this is on a national level that are already entered into the system. So it gives you a real good indicator of how you're performing for like type buildings on your energy use index. So, and that looks at all different types of energy, whatever you're using within that facility. So next slide, please. So for Montgomery County and specifically, the Montgomery County benchmarking and performance standards. So you'll hear BEPS quite often is the acronym that's used. This law went into this law went into effect in 2022, and this is for all buildings 25,000 square feet and larger to benchmark and report their energy data. And this is to the Department of Environmental Protection in Montgomery County. So the buildings have long-term energy standards that they need to meet, and one of the ways that they're doing this and keeping track of this is looking at how their buildings are performing compared to when they first benchmarked the building. So they're taking a look at that baseline and how much better have you performed. Next slide, please. So what does this require? So portfolio manager, as I mentioned earlier, so everybody has to use portfolio manager. It's a wonderful tool. It's relatively simple to use compared to a lot of other products out there. It's a free tool. Again, it's by the Department of Energy. And so this goes in and it talks about all the different types of operating characteristics for the building, the types of energy you're using, types of facility, what the spacers are used for, types of fuel sources. So all of this will be added in, and this must include all the common areas. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to have someone who's a third party recognizing and verifying that that first year data is reported correctly. And then every year, a new report will have to be filed with DEP. And this is in Montgomery County. And we've included the link to the website there for you. And I will turn this back over to Mr. Miguel for what is a building.
Thanks, John. So what is a building? How do we define what a building is? So in this context, a building is defined as something that is individually metered and they have separate energy systems, or a group of buildings that share an energy meter that have common heating and cooling systems. So within BEPS, there are some buildings that are covered and required and some that are excluded. So what is covered and required? For example, a high-rise to mid-rise apartment condo building that, of course, is 25,000 square feet or greater. Likewise, a single building, apartment building that may also have garden level apartments or basement, as some people may call it, that's 25,000 feet or greater. Those are covered and required. But what's not required or covered is, for example, if you have a apartment building where you have multiple buildings on a parcel of land and the square feet is greater than 25,000 square feet. That type of building is not required or covered under BEPS. Another example would be a strip mall, such as a shopping center where you may have some of your favorite stores, where they all have individually separate metered systems. Even though the total square footage of the building may be greater than 25,000 square feet, since each individual storefront has their own energy system, they are not covered or under BEPS in terms of energy reporting. So what buildings are covered by law? They have broke the buildings down into 5 different groups. So your first group is going to be your commercial buildings, 2,500,000, 250,000 square feet or greater. Um, a group two building is something that is 50,000 to 250,000 square feet. Group three, a commercial building between 25,000 to 50,000 square feet. Group four would be a multifamily that is 250,000 square feet. And group five is a multifamily building that is between 25 to 250,000 square feet. Uh, buildings that had at least 10% of their total gross square footage was warehouses, they were not exempt, but they will actually be covered and required to report their energy usage through the portfolio as well. So, how do you get started? What questions you may have about BEPS and how to be in compliance? One, as we stated, this presentation will go out to you all, and there are some useful links in the presentation. The first one is you can check out on Is My Building Covered, to see if your building, if you even, if these rules apply to you. The second one would need to be if you need to add a person, if you are the designated person or someone on your team is a designated person who's going to be responsible for uploading the data or responsible for receiving important communications. You can go to claim my building form. As John stated before, you will have to upload that into the Energy Star Portfolio Manager. So if you have not, we would highly encourage you to go ahead and create an account on Energy Star Portfolio Manager. And within that website, there are some additional links that you may find useful in terms of building characteristics information. And also, if you may have a large building that will require you to upload that data and start that process through the utilities, there you can go to request that data or start requesting that data. Next, get that entered into the portfolio manager, have your data verified by a firm. And as John stated before, you will have to do that every 3 years and then have, of course, be in compliance with the deadline. June 1st is when you need to have that data uploaded and submitted. What else should you know about BEPS and the Maryland Climate Solution Act that will require benchmarking? So it will cover commercial and multifamily buildings that are 35,000 square feet or larger. It will exclude things such as parking garage, parking lots, historic buildings, schools, manufacturing, and agriculture buildings. So those building types or those spaces, if you may have, if your building is attached to a very large parking garage, you don't have to exclude that from your total gross square footage. Timing, when will benchmarking start and when will it be reported within Maryland? You will need to be benchmarking, and annual reporting will start by 2025. So I know some of our customers, this is their goal and what they're working towards. So please keep that in mind. And what is the overall goal of the Maryland Climate Solutions Now Act? To achieve 20% reduction in net greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, and also to achieve net zero direct greenhouse gas emissions by 2020 by January 1st, 2040. So if you are in the state of Maryland and BEPS may not apply, if you're in a county and but still within Maryland and you want to be in compliance with the Maryland Climate Solutions Now Act, this is something to definitely keep top of mind. And you may be wondering, how can, if your building is not already meeting those standards, or what can you do through PEPCO and the Empower Maryland programs? There are incentives available to help you achieve those goals. So There are prescriptive measures for that standard equipment that needs to be replaced, or in some cases, you have already done that and now you want to take it a step further and you have some more complex systems or complex upgrades that need to be done, such as HVAC. The custom program is an excellent source for funding for that. Or if you're going to be doing some type of new construction or major renovation, as we all can see over the last few years, there's been a lot of that in the area. So if you need to, if you're thinking about building a new building, or you're going to completely gut a existing building and repurpose its use, that's a great option in terms of new construction, major renovation. Building tune-up, if you have existing mechanical systems in place and you want to make sure that they're running at their peak performance, or running best to the needs of that building. The building tune-up program is an excellent resource. Business instant discount, great for lighting as well as HVAC for a lot of that routine maintenance, equipment that you just replace on routine. No application is required. You go into an approved distributor of the program and purchase that equipment, and make sure you mention, I would like my Empower Maryland Business instant discounts applied for this purchase. Another one also, depending on if you're a school or a local municipal or a nonprofit or something like that, where funding may be an issue in terms of being able to make some of these upgrades, please ask and inquire about the Energy Efficiency Communities program, where they are higher incentives for certain groups that qualify. And then also to our small businesses, if your annual usage is less than 100,000 kilowatts or less, please ask about the small business program. So if there's anything you're thinking about doing, or there's a possibility, please reach out to us, because we can work with you to find ways to incentivize that, to make sure that we are in compliance with BEPS as well as the Maryland Energy Acts as well. And here, outside of Empower Maryland, these are also some additional funding sources. So the Maryland Energy Administration offers incentives for energy efficiency, as well as the Montgomery County Green Bank. If you need funding for that or need a way to finance it, great organization. And then also the Maryland PACE. So outside of Empower Maryland, if you have concerns or wondering how you're going to make this happen, these are some other places you can look to for funding to accomplish your energy goals.
Okay, hey Miguel, one thing real quick. I just want to chime in and just make sure everybody's aware. This popped up in the questions, but we definitely want to make sure everybody's aware of PHI's benchmarking tool. It's the Energy Usage Data System, or EUDS, and this pulls utility data and aggregates it for multiple electricity accounts for a property that has them. And it can automatically import the data directly into Energy Star's portfolio manager. So just wanted to make sure everybody knew that, and that's available. Again, that's Energy Usage Data System, EUDS. So make sure we give that a shout out.
Thanks for that, John. Yes, please make sure you take advantage of EDUS, Energy Usage System, and as John stated, it will upload that data directly to the portal for you. At this time, I will check to see if we have any additional questions.
And I think we just had a thanks for the coffee coming from Tom.
You're welcome, Tom.
All right, wonderful.
Well, if we don't have any other questions, we want to thank you all for participating. And as always, those who joined, we will send out the presentation as well as a recording of it shortly after the presentation. But if you have any questions about that or anything we discussed, or if there are other topics you would like to see, please do not hesitate to send those to one of us, and we will do our best to make it happen. Thank you so much. Thank you all, and have a great day.
Take care.